I mean, for the YouTube subscribers. Well, subscribe already. Hit the fucking like button, subscribe button, knock your ass out, man. I ain't fucking with you, man.
UFC Vegas 36, Brunson versus Till, live, guys. Live early from Vegas. This fight card was supposed to be in the UK. I'm sure you can tell from all the UK fighters on this card. They kept the time so the UK fans can enjoy it, right, at their prime time. And, you know, it's not 2, 3 in the morning for them. So respectful decision by the UFC. Got to give props to that. Obviously, they couldn't go over to UK because the whole issue with the virus. Another good week last week, guys. Another good week. We're on a nice tear. 3-1 all plays last week. 13-3 client run currently. And more winners given out for free to you guys, the viewers. The one side that I was off on, and it's still bugging me today, to be honest. I usually get over my losses, but the Kevin Lee. Kevin Lee did exactly what he needed to do in the first round. After the first round, I was very confident he was going to win this fight. He looked great. He looked strong on top. And that's how I expected him to win. And then he went off his game plan. And I'll give some credit to Rodriguez. He kept the fight on the feet. He landed some strikes. And you don't want to stand with Rodriguez. He's a street brawler. That's all he is, guys. He's a good street brawler. He can fight, he can strike, he can box. You don't want to go into his world, and Lee did. He didn't continue to wrestle. He needed to chain wrestle to win that fight. That's what I thought he was going to do. He did it very impressively in the first round, and then I think he kind of gassed throughout the fight and wasn't able to continue the wrestling. So that was the only fight we were off on, guys. And I did think Lee was going to come through. He did not. How impressive was Giga? Wow. Very impressive. Love watching those two go at it. Top level strikers, kickboxers. Giga wins the title for the best striker in the UFC, right? When you have two strikers like that, I was on the Giga. I gave you guys the Giga side. I also really liked, and what I really was my favorite play that made actually best bet for my clients was the fight not to go the distance. When you have two heavy striker kickboxers like that, you don't think it's going to go all 5. You think there'll be too many shots landed. And you can see it started to wear on Barbosa. He wasn't able to handle it. Yeah, I love that. And I love both Ultimate Fighter fights, the finales. Both fights were good. I did give you guys Battle and Turkios and the over 2.5 in that Turkios fight. That was my favorite play, actually, out of both fights. Love Ricky. Close fight. And I knew the wrestling was going to be an issue. I told you guys that if the youngster was going to win, Handstead, he was going to wrestle, and he did. He wrestled well enough, but Turkios, like I mentioned, he was going to be very active when he gets down. He's not a guy that's just going to lay there. He's going to be active. He's going to throw elbows. He's going to twitch. He's going to get up, and that's what he was able to do, and he was able to be more active in the fight, and that's why he won the fight. The Brian Battle fight, very impressive after coming back. After that first round, he got rocked, guys. I thought he was going to maybe even lose in that first fight and remain aghast in the second round, and Battle's very well-rounded. Very well-rounded. I like what I seen from Battle. He got another submission win. We know he can get his submissions. I think he has 4 or 5 submissions out of his 7 wins now. So he is very well-rounded. He's a decent striker as well. So it's going to be interesting to see what he does there. But I had a 2-fight Ultimate Fighter parlay, which cashed, and I gave it out to you guys as well. And if you guys waited around and watched the end of the video, which I always suggest you guys do, I gave out a small play on Jared Mershart to find a sub. I mentioned on the last 2 fights, I didn't love them, but there's some value on Jared Mershart because of the veteran experience and how good he is when he gets to the ground. Guys, he has the most submissions in the it's either in the division or the UFC history. I can't remember off the top of my head right now, but it's one of those, and it's very impressive. And he has a ton of fights, guys. Very experienced. If it gets down to the ground, he's going to submit you. There's no doubt about it. So Jared Mershart was like plus 350. If you did sub, it's probably plus 500 or more. So hopefully you guys noticed that and watched the end of the video and jumped on that. Weekly update. Let's get into the weekly update here, guys. 51 and 29 best bets. UFC, 13-3 UFC run, plus 39 units all plays. This is long term, guys, long term minus the UFC run. PGA, another outright winner with Cantlay last week. Another outright winner. We are smoking hot in the PGA, plus 2,500 on the Cantlay outright playoff winner. Second in 3 weeks. We had Kisner plus 4,500 a few weeks back. Both in playoffs. Both in playoffs. Yes, you got to get lucky to hit outrights. But you also have to know who's going to be there on Sundays, and that's what I'm able to do. You know, I hit a lot of outrights, top 3. Like I had Ram in between out of the 3 weeks, 2 weeks ago, and he finished third, right? So I have a lot of outrights as well that finished top 5, second, third as well. So if you at least have an outright hanging around there on Sunday, you're doing good work. 69% best bets. Another winner last week with Thomas over Morikawa matchup, 29-13 matchup run, plus 64 units prop market. Absolutely destroying the PGA. NFL is around the corner, guys. Future bets already sent to clients. Now is the time to get the NFL package at a low cost, guys. You will also receive my PGA and UFC bets as a customer gesture. Head over to systemsportscapping.com to become a client today and win long term. Let's hear from my friend Meredith.
Guys, Meredith Gorman here, and are you still not subscribed to Matt's channel? Well, if you're not, hit the subscribe button because he's giving out free picks each and every week. Hope you have a good rest of your day.
Like and comment as well, guys. Continuing to give a bunch of free winners every week. At least a like and comment would go a long way and is a much appreciated. Also follow me on Twitter and Instagram if you guys aren't. Twitter and Instagram, I give free plays out there. A lot of sports content throughout the week. And winning tickets. I post all my winning tickets, guys, unlike any other handicappers out there. And losing tickets as well. All on Instagram. So you can check it out on Instagram. Comments from clients as well. Everything's on Instagram if you want to check me out there. All right, guys, let's get right into the card. Like I always mention, shop around for the best price. This is not the best price. This is just a generic market price. Main event, guys. Main event, like I said, lots of UK fighters on the card here. And here's one of them, maybe arguably one of the best UK fighters in Darren Till. Minus 175 versus Brunson, plus 150. Brunson continues to be an underdog and continues to prove the market wrong. In his last fight versus Holland, he had the clear wrestling advantage, right? And he did it for 5 rounds, which I was very impressed by. I didn't think he could last. I didn't think his cardio was great, but he's in great shape right now at 39 towards the end of his career. Holland has shown to have terrible takedown defense, right? We know that. Probably one of the worst takedown defenses in the UFC, and Vettori showed it as well. He knew the game plan to beat Holland. You don't want to stand with Holland. You want to take him to the ground, and that's what both guys were able to do. Brunson won't have an easy time taking down Till, guys. It's not going to be like the Holland fight. Till has fairly solid takedown defense. He's a big guy as well. He's not going to be easy to take down. Okay, so it's not going to be like the Holland fight. Don't expect that. Will he get him to the ground? Sure. Brunson's a very good wrestler, guys. Very good wrestler. Till will have the striking advantage here. There's no secret there. Better boxer, quicker on his feet. And if he can avoid the takedowns, I do think he wins this fight. Now, Brunson showed last fight that cardio wasn't an issue, which I mentioned earlier, when some thought it may be. He actually wrestled for 5 rounds. You don't see that much. You don't see guys wrestling for 5 rounds. Now, sure, he didn't do much when he was wrestling. He was just laying on Holland for the most part, sneaking in some elbows here and there. But he was able to keep it up for 5 rounds. Till will be in good shape. He can go deep into fights. We've seen it before. He does have 5-round experience as well. You know, betting on Till fights are never something I get excited about because you never know how he's going to show up. You know, you want him to throw more every time he's out there, be more active. But he fails to be more than often, right? His significant strikes are super low every fight. And that's why he loses fights. He does not throw enough. Both guys do have power to finish this fight. But at the same time, I can see this going the distance as well. So from an outcome standpoint and a round play, I won't be on any props as of right now. I haven't found anything I love. I do think it's going to go a few rounds. But the price is not going to allow you to bet that. I'm not in love with betting this fight. I'm going to be straight up with you guys and honest. I do think Till gets it done. However, the price isn't great. I am not willing to lay a minus 175, 180 on some books on Till on a straight bet. Brunson has been hot. He's been in the best shape and the best run of his career, and it's towards the end of his career. So, against a guy that you never know how is going to come out, who is possibly overhyped in his career, right? A lot of people had high hopes for Till. He hasn't proved it as of yet. I'm not ready to lay that price. I think Till, like I mentioned, finds a way to win this fight. If you ask me who I think is going to win this fight, if I had to pick, it's going to be Till. I think he has a fairly big advantage on the feet. I do think he's the better striker, the cleaner striker. He could knock out Brunson. Brunson has questionable chin throughout the years. It hasn't been tested too much. Holland rocked him once in that fight. So if Till can, move, stick and move, he could knock out Brunson. But again, I can see this fight going the distance as well. Now, if you ask me what I like in rounds, I do like the over 2.5. You're going to pay for that. The fight not to go the distance at minus 175 price tag, again, not something I would bet straight up, but that's where I would look. I could see a later finish when maybe Brunson gets a little tired in the fight if he does. Brunson could, I don't think he can knock out Till, but he can just, his path would be to mix it up, right? Out wrestle him, get it to the ground, and, mix in some strikes as well. But Brunson's going to have to make this dirty. He's going to have to wrestle to find a way. I don't think he's going to be able to do that again for 5 rounds. Like I mentioned, Till's takedown defense is much better than Holland's. And I think Brunson will have somewhat of a tough time to take down Till, even though I do think he'll get him down. I just don't think he can continue the takedowns like Brunson was able to do against Holland and just hold him down there. So, Till finds a way somehow. I won't be betting this fight as of right now, and I do think this goes at least a few rounds, guys. Back-to-back UK fighters, and it features a UK fighter who I think may be a big future, may have a big future in the UFC, guys, with co-main and main events. It's Tom Aspinall, minus 260, yikes, versus Spivak, plus 210. I'm high on Aspinall. He's still fresh, though, and young, which you guys gotta keep that in mind when you're betting high numbers like this. And it always does scare me, especially at this price. When he fought a veteran like Orlovsky, I was on Aspinall, but I was worried a little too, because when he's fighting a veteran like that, not have to be worried here. No veteran, but Spivak, decent fighter, and plus 210, definitely value there. The price is scary, very hard to bet straight up. You can look at this in a 2-fight parlay piece option, in my opinion, in this week. Or you can look at the KO, but it's minus 150, so it's not great. Like I mentioned, that Orlovsky fight, Aspinall showed he's versatile. He got a submission win in that fight, guys, if you remember. Very versatile. He can strike. His BJJ's underrated, and he can wrestle as well. So I do think he's very versatile. Spivak, he'll like to try to get this to the ground, I think. I do think he can strike as well. But if you watch that Orlovsky fight, it was not impressive, guys. Sorry, not Orlovsky, the Olenek fight, the bull constrictor. It was not an impressive fight at all. He barely got by the old 44-year-old. There was even at times Olenek was outstriking him. So if you look at his wins, yes, he's on a 3-fight win streak, Spivak, but it's against the 44-year-old Van der Eer and Philippe, and that was Philippe's debut, if I recall. Philippe's a lot better as of late, but sure, that's a good win, but it was close. It was a close fight. It's hard to not look Aspinall's way here. The price sucks. You can't bet it straight up. You want to look at an outcome to finish the fight minus 150. You're still laying juice on an outcome. I rarely suggest to lay juice on an outcome. Okay, rarely, especially with a youngster like this in a heavyweight fight. So the only thing I suggest, if you do 2-fight parlays, I obviously suggest not to do anything higher than 2 fights. You're going to look at Aspinall, minus 260. Parlay piece. I suggest not to bet this straight up, and I don't think this fight's going to go all 3 rounds, so that's something to also look at. if you do like to bet those props. Next fight here, guys. A little random one here. Moreno minus 150 versus vszawad plus 125. Not a fight I'm excited to bet. The next 3 fights I'm not actually excited to bet. I do think both guys are matched up fairly similar. And it can go either way, and the line is telling you that, so there is some value with vszawad. I just can't bet vszawad. He just hasn't shown me anything. He'll be desperate for a win here, guys. He lost 3 of his last 4 fights. If he loses this fight, could he be cut? Possibly. Moreno, he's just a 1-win, 1-loss type guy. He's coming off that big win over Cerrone, which we were on, and we cashed, guys. It was too high. It was too high of a dog for Moreno, and we know Cerrone's done. So I had to go with Moreno there, and we cashed on. I think it was in the plus 200. So I just can't recall right now. Both guys are very difficult to judge from one fight to another, and the line is telling you that, right? I took a chance on Moreno, like I said with Moreno. I won't be here. I won't be laying money with Moreno. That's never gonna happen. Even though I do lean him to win this fight. What I do like in this fight, though, guys. Favorite play in this fight is to go over the 2.5 rounds, and most likely for this fight to go the distance. I don't see either guy getting KO'd. I do think this can be more of a... I think there's going to be some grappling in this fight. I do think both guys are going to use all their skills and put it on display to try to get the victory. But yeah, the over 2.5 rounds is a look. It hasn't made my betting card as yet, but if you ask me for a play and my favorite play in this fight, it is that. Next fight here, Bukaku minus 160 versus Roundtree plus 135. 2 heavy strikers. We should see someone going night-night here, in my opinion. Roundtree came back after a 2-year layoff. Some say he retired, he came back, and then he lost to Marcin Pracino in his return. I'm a bit confused on the line here and why Bukaku is such a big favorite. I'm not going to say a huge favorite, but minus 160. Never lay a straight up bet on Bukaku minus 160, the 1 and 2 in the UFC, and he just hasn't looked great. He's very hittable, which Roundtree is what he's known for. He can hit guys that are hittable, right? He's a great kickboxer, and he throws heavy. It just hasn't been a great start for Bukaku. I don't see why the price is just this high. I can't get there. There's no value. The only value is on Roundtree. He's been looking in good shape, Roundtree. Follow him on Instagram. The one thing I can say in this fight, it's not going all 3 rounds, guys. This fight is not going all 3 rounds. Under the 2.5. Fight not to go the distance would be the play here. And if anything, you look at the Roundtree dog. I just can't get the Roundtree. He hasn't shown me enough after the layoff and his last fight off the layoff, losing to Pracino. It's tough to bet a side in this one, guys. But like I mentioned, we can't be laying minus 160 with Bukaku. So it's Roundtree or nothing if you have to bet a side. But, under the 2.5 rounds, the fight not to go the distance is my play here. Fun one to open up the main card, guys. Pimlet. Paddy Pimlet. minus 140 versus Verandamini plus 120. Luigi. This should be a fun one to open up the main card. The hype around Pimlet is here. Some say the UK Conor McGregor. I haven't bought into it as of yet. I watched some of his fights. Fairly entertaining. Seems fairly good on the ground. Good submission game. Not a ton of power. Not a great striker. A lot of hype, though. A lot of hype coming into his UFC debut. I think there's minus 140, minus 145 in some places is UK betting money. The key word here is, and the key phrase is this UFC debut. Debut, guys, right? UFC wanted him back in a while ago, and then he took some time off, and then he lost a fight, and then he won a couple Cage Warriors fight. He was he won the championship there, so they brought him in. This will be Luigi's 4th UFC fight, and he's a 1 and 2, so obviously desperate for a win here. Pimlet seems to be, like I mentioned, good on the ground if the guy's not a stronger wrestler. And Verandamini looks pretty strong, looks pretty decent on the ground. He can grapple. So I don't know if Pimlet will have the huge advantage here. I don't think that Pimlet will have an advantage on the feet. I probably lean Luigi on the feet. And that's why that dog, the plus 120, is an active line. I haven't got there as of yet. If I had to bet a side here, am I going to fall into the hype with the UK fighter and Pimlet? A lot of pressure on him. A lot of pressure on the kid. So it's not a fight I'm going to be on. It's a fight that I can see going over the 2.5 rounds, though. Right? Over the 2.5 rounds and possibly the distance, right? Keep in mind, Pimlet likes to bring fights to the ground, but Luigi can hold his own there. Right? So if Luigi can keep it on standing, he's going to have the advantage, I think, on the feet. Now, Randamini, his opponents that he lost to, if we could quickly look at it, Dos Santos was a little concerning to me with that flying knee. He got caught by that. But he looked good in the first round. And then the loss to ZM, he lost the first 2 rounds, but then he came on strong and won the third, but it wasn't enough. And Faraz ZM was able to win by decision in a close fight. So, you know, besides that flying knee where he got caught and wasn't expecting it, you know, I can look past that, sure. But ZM was not winning fights. That should have been a fight that he should have won, but he wasn't able to get it done. Desperate situation for Randamini. And remember, Pimblet's debut, pressure, a lot of pressure, a lot of UK eyes will be watching. I can't lay a minus 140, 145 on a debut fighter with that pressure. I haven't seen enough from him. I got to see some UFC caliber wins. He doesn't have any good wins from Cage Warriors. No one that stands out after I watch his fights. So it's not a side I'm going to be on, but I like this fight to go a few rounds. Look at that, over 2.5. But yeah, nothing I will be on from a side standpoint. All right, guys, betting card will be sent out after the weigh-ins to my guys, clients. Thank you for the continuous support, clients, and you guys that watch the videos. It's much appreciated. Like I said, you guys want to get on board now before the NFL season. This is the time to get on board. Check out my website so you can start winning in sports betting long term. Like I always say, guys, bet smart and know your limits. Take care.